Welcome back, Fortnite fam. So, Acorn and Bolts got themselves a victory royale in game number 4. Now, as we called out, we knew going into the game 210 was tied at first, right? So they end that game with 211 points. They are in the top 5, but it's just a little more complicated than that, because you see they're currently in 4th place, because if we look up the standings, Clicks and Higgs, even though they had a rough game there, they still managed a handful of points. Visual and Braids in that game as well managed to find themselves points with a 5th place and 4 elims, and look all the way at the top. Cold and Rapid. Oh my gosh, guys. This is as unpredictable as it gets. To see Visual and Braids, we'll start with them, to come out with a game like this, a 5th place, 4 elims. We're starting to hit that consistency factor right now, Kelly. It's looking really good for them.
Yeah, this is definitely what Visuals and Braids is known for. We saw them do this all throughout last year with Aminish. They are doing such a good job with consistency, and especially being able to be consistent on the low ground when you have huge names like Cold and Rapid running through it. They're playing this so smart and so safely, kind of sticking to the back end of front zone, or the back end of low ground, instead of staying to the front, which is where all the chaos is. But we gotta talk about it. Cold and Rapid now with a 51-point lead over 2nd place. And you said that we couldn't have predicted it, but I got a tweet that I sent out earlier or not a tweet, but a text that I sent out earlier, that Cold and Rapid are gonna end in 1st place in day 1. You all can quote me on that right now, because Cold and Rapid, honestly, when we saw how they've been doing during the scrims, some of these solo clutches that Cold's been able to pull out, I knew that he was locked in. And sure enough, Vivid, we are seeing them today show everyone up. You can say that Cold maybe hasn't played in the last few months, but it doesn't matter because he's playing now.
Yeah, I think the big storyline here in this game is that we did see, going into this game, that Cold and Rapid was tied with Clicks and Higgs. With Clicks and Higgs kind of going down early, only able to pick up 4 points. This was their big opportunity to go ahead and create some sort of a lead on our leaderboard. And as you can see right there, they picked up that 6th place for eliminations. And I got to tell you, looking at their games right now, they have yet to place worse than 8th place in any of these games. So just playing incredibly well. But yeah, because of how well they're playing, they've got that lead, 266 points, about a 50-point lead now for them.
That's scary territory, right, Viv? That's scary territory, because yes, with a single game, right, we can close that gap, no problem, but they are now firing on all cylinders, right? Cold and Rapid, like you said, have not placed outside of 8th place. They literally have nailed consistency right here, right now, in just day number 1. Kelly, if we continue this trend, they will pull away, right? If we just get 2 more games like this, that's not going to be a 50-point lead. That could be over 100 points.
That's true. And just the storylines that are coming out, Acorn and Bolts, after winning that game, also climbing up the leaderboard right now. Wouldn't it be just so fitting to have Cold and Acorn fighting for 1st place in major number 1 instead of it being Peterbot and Clicks? I would just love for that story to develop. Also, Rapid and Bolts are also 2 teammates that have a lot of similarities as well, or former teammates that have a lot of similarities as well, joined by Cold and Acorn. So maybe we're focusing on the wrong story right now, Vivid.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is a possibility. Speaking about like Peterbot and Pollo, they'd go down early that game as well, which is, another one of those teams that we do expect to see on the high ground, which again, Acorn and Bolts kind of found it a little bit of a breeze to kind of sit up there on the high ground that game. But even though they went down early, Peterbot and Pollo, they're still in 6th place right now. So like Zeke mentioned, one game can kind of close the gap immensely. But right now, about 100-point difference between 1st place and 6th. So that's the difference between Cold and Rapid and Peterbot and Pollo. So a lot of ground to make up if they want to, return to the competition at the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, man. It's looking different, right? Like, even if we kind of go back to Clicks and Higgs, right? We've had these games where, and like, just think about it, right? The moment that you have a tough early game or something goes wrong, every single decision these duos are making is pushing them closer or farther up that leaderboard, right? Because in this situation, one thing goes wrong, and now look, we fall early, and that allows the rest of the lobby to catch up. That allows Cold and Rapid to move further away from us, right? Like, it's so crazy how just these micro decisions that the players are making, Kelly, is like, it's either going to make or break their game right now. And right now, more than ever, we can't be allowing that to happen.
No, and it's something that you can kind of expect to happen, even with like, insane consistent players like Agers and Ritual. They got 21st place, they got 17th place. They're known for being incredibly consistent. So if you look at, teams, regardless of how they perform beforehand, I think what we need to look at is how, once they have a bad game, like a lot of our top teams did in game number 4, how do they recover? Because we know emotions can run high, and a lot of our top teams are very emotional players. And I think when it comes down to emotion, Ritual and Agers are able to stay cool, calm, and collected. So I think although they might not have had kind of the game 2 that we saw them have, that they are definitely not out. And in fact, even with a 21st and a 17th place, they're in 5th. So they're doing just fine.
Man, I like it. Oh my gosh. Okay, look. We got 2 games left to go. And remember, this isn't the end, right? We just have 6 games to prepare ourselves, to kind of lay the groundwork, and then we come back tomorrow for the last 6. And that's where we're going to go ahead and claim an Axe of Champions, and the top 13 move on to the summit with 2 games left to go. These duos, pressure's on. They need to make sure they're doing everything they can to move up that leaderboard and secure these points. Casters, let's get ready for game 5.
Man, Cold and Rapid are on such a hot streak right now, Monster. I'm not sure what anybody in the lobby has to do to slow them down. They land mid-map. They get a chance at a Mythic. They had Rapid IGLing, who's on the insane streak to start the year.
Yeah, and one thing that we're noticing is they're taking their time. So let's see how game number 5 shapes up for this wonderful team.
Now we had a tie to start last game. Now we have Cold and Rapid with a 51-point lead. Visuals and Braids in second. Clicks and Higgs 1 point down from there in third, with Acorn and Bolts. Big victory royale in that last game, bursting them into the top 5. And this is where it starts to get interesting, Monster. As we said, 2 games left. Where you end on day 1 really plays a part in how you get to play out day 2.
Yeah, no one's played perfect so far, other than Cold and Rapid's incredible level of consistency so far. And you would think by now, because of how slow they play that early game, they might have surge issues. So with these next 2 rounds, let's see if that strategy continues to hold up. Meanwhile, Naves and Tex make quick work of paper. It looks like off the drop, just besting them there. So things are looking good. Npen and Jack found themselves obviously here in the finals today, finally making good use of the opportunity. There goes their first eliminations. Nicely done, putting themselves on the board here. Jack and Npen now just have to finish up Avenger here on the outskirts. Gotta run for it.
They're gonna have to find him first, but Shockwave's in their direction trying to get out. He's hoping to hit the rift here. Even if he does, it just puts him in the sky right now, and almost looks like Jack's persistence there is gonna make sure they clean up that elimination. That's their second one on the board, and it's gonna be raining loot for a little bit, so I got plenty of time to go pick that one up.
Back on over to Electro. Oak, we know that this was, of course, the team that kind of threw Veno and Curve for a loop after getting Veno early. Veno and Curve did get to play their game out, but not exactly at the pace that they probably would have liked. Either way, can Veno and Curve find their way back on the tracks here and push themselves up the standings? It's yet to be said. Take a look at Power. Noisy, still in the competition right now, but Neo finds that elimination right there. They're at 110 points here, Jacob. Actually doing surprisingly well so far.
Yeah, and that sometimes all you got to do is keep yourselves within a certain point gap, right? For some players, it's for first players. For others, it's that simple top 13. And right now, if you look at the leaderboard, there's still plenty of games left to go, of course. It's Aviv and King at 136 points, so they're not far off from that threshold, which is a spot at the Major One Summit, Dusseldorf, Germany. And that's why you see teams kind of trying to switch things up. As others taking it a much faster approach, others slowing things down. And for Power, already knows that Penta's gone, no builds. That means these next couple of shots, if he does run into either one of these 2 people, are going to be some of the most important shots in his entire tournament so far.
Most definitely will. So off he goes, try to lurk about here. Zifta and Void obviously watching the exits. Nothing coming about just yet. Meanwhile, Veno Curve back to the lurk. It's just like clockwork for them. Veno might have missed his opportunity though. This Oak was right there in front of him. Still has Electro here to the side, though. Electro doesn't even know he's going by. Couldn't help it. Has to open fire there. Not the biggest opener that he was looking for, but Curve's already playing a side angle.
Oh, the Oak
Did he see him?
Curve.
Oh, he didn't.
This is going to be one of the biggest lurks right now. It's almost like flip-flop of what they've been doing with Veno approaching close, Curve being in the distance. Chaos Reloader here. Just 1 second of distraction. Nice shot on the Oak. Curve now fighting off more than he could chew, though. Instead of getting full-on aggressive, getting the box, he approaches from another angle, trying to keep the pressure on the Electro, not wanting to let him heal. Veno doing the same thing, but it's only going to be a trade in shots between Oak down below as Curve finishes off the elimination there onto Electro. Now it's going to be a 2v1 situation that does not last long. This is Veno and Curve. This is their get back from that last game.
That puts him at 3 eliminations right now. A very strong start here. Again, elims are rewarded so much more in the current format. You love to see it. Back with Higgs and Clicks, man. This is tough, right? Because now they have to make up for the lead that they lost, and they pretty much handed up on a platter to Cold and Rapid there in the last game.
Yeah, they've been blessed the past couple of games. Zone going in their favor, up towards the north, close by Wonky Land. See how they handle the pressure if the zone pulls away in the last 2 games. Maybe they can actually utilize the wheel to try to rotate in. But at least they don't have a first place target on their back like Cold and Rapid might. Center of the map is Reet and Cooper. You can see them straying away from Latte Landing, doing what some of the other teams are doing. One person is kind of on a hill, trying to distract, shots from the distance, while Cooper is just trying to walk up, hide the audio visual, and get a sneaky shot. Yes, it's going to be the Thunderburst onto QK. No knock just yet, but that in its own mind is a little bit of a success for Cooper and Reet.
Oh, for sure. Mistakes were made from QK, leaving a sidewall open there, allowing them to just get free tags there. He didn't even realize where the shots are coming from for a second there. Saw the hesitation on the builds. QK Contract have also earned a fair amount of points, right? These are all teams that can still jump their way into top 13. Back on over to Cold right now, who clearly is in top form here, and they're just ahead of the pack by over 50 points right now. Really respectable tournament run so far. Jack and Npen, though, not looking too hot. We're started off super strong for them, earning some points now. Npen, though, lost in the exchange outside of the Latte Landing. Madden and Cole are going to come out ahead there. Jack is forced to retreat, and he's going straight into Reed's team, so he does have to be careful.
Yeah, maybe he just doesn't have the timing there. For Reet and Cooper, who've almost done something different every single game so far in terms of how they've been rotating into some of these zones, so it's easy to catch a couple teams off guard. On board visuals and braids. Talk about sticking to what works. 250 points, sitting in second place. This split drop outside of Dark Dominion. Just like I said in one of the previous games, no matter where the zone goes, they're more than likely going to be center map on top of a hill. So it gives them the luxury to kind of sit here. Yes, they might have to tank some storm damage, but every team in this game rotating in from the east, rotating from the south, will have to pass by visuals and braids, which gives them at least an opportunity to start accumulating that damage.
Better now than later. For Bolts, Acorn, back to the high ground they go. This is their trusty strat. Again, they started off pretty slow, right? We were looking at them like, okay, so decent game 1, and then things kind of fall off pace, but you have that monstrous comeback all of a sudden now. They are up in that 200-point threshold. And look at this. They got eyes on Clicks and Higgs from up top. You would think that'd be out of render distance, but they could just barely pick up the names there. Meanwhile, Peterbot doing the same thing, has Spoyo down low. He's kind of playing the base here. He's continued to do this as well, being the kind of the sniper in the tower for the duo.
Some of the best aim in the game. You kind of see why I connect with 2 tags there, 40 damage. It all adds up over time. Some extra heals not too far away, and then the mending machine down below. And with the zone pulling in their favor, Monster for Peterbot and Poyo, they have options to rotate. They can shockwave, they can walk it in, or simply hit that rift that's not too far off next to them. They're going to have kind of pick of the litter, essentially, about where they actually want to end up after this next zone.
Backing over Threats and Veers. Highlight here. Catching a free Elim onto Muss out the sky there. Liquid in the distance, too. Meanwhile, Minish, Javi here, based out, camped out right now, 152 points so far, on pace to send themselves to another LAN event here. Javi would be his first. Exciting times. But look at this, Jacob. Threats and Beer just trying to finish what they started over here.
Rightfully so. You know, you get that one elimination. Yeah, you can rotate the zone, let him reboot. Maybe you can go ahead and try to attack that later. They just don't want to get beamed for free trying to rotate on out. They create some distance. Now they start using the shockwave, so Threats and Beer continue on with the rest of their game, which gives hope for Liquid to try to get his teammate back in. Hopefully they have some gold. There is a free mending machine or some scraps all around they can try to access. Only time will tell, though, how well they're able to make this game count with only 2 left.
What?
Curvin.
Look at their elims.
What?
What's going on?
Okay, so we got Electro Oak. Maybe Tyler Chance. They got a little. What? I'm not gonna say what went wrong, but like what went right for Veno and Curve since the last time we saw them. And honestly, depending on how much damage they take, they might not have to worry about Surge for the rest of this game.
Yeah, that's crazy. 6 eliminations. Obviously, I'm more impressed by the amount of points they've managed to earn after coming up short last game. So they're on their way back up to the top. Meanwhile, QK Contract just a sleeper duo so far as you know how well they've been able to play for what it's worth, right? This is their first time in this level of competition, going against this level of competition, and they seem to be holding their weight just fine.
I like them not overstaying their welcome, knowing they're going to have to rotate on out. I wouldn't say the farthest pool by any means, but it is going to start getting more and more drastic as more and more teams crowd that edge.
Fortnite, you a top mod.
I don't think they're going to be leaving the zone itself
Oh my
anytime
god, oh
soon.
my
Maybe
god,
rotating
there's
towards
no
the
way,
zone. You see another team in the mini-map towards the outskirts trying to do just that. Maybe trying to utilize
We
the
aren't gonna
lock
reset
landing
FS's
launch
major
pad,
one.
but that
It's
one's
too
still
far
locked
along with
down
the
by
current
Reap
participants.
and
We
Crew on this
literally
side of the map.
series starts
Even with them
next
having
round.
rotated get in just yet, it's almost no worry when you're trying to make that play.
Super weak to have the nice high ground as well, but the zone is already pushing them out. Gonna say really not many opportunities to find teams either. You can see the remnants of other bases and whatnot. They were probably hoping to see a little bit more activity rotating through here, but might just be a wrong decision for them. Meanwhile, Carillion and Jargo set up the ambush here. Find Aloe rotating behind what looked to be an abandoned base, but no sir. Had this duo still sitting in it.
Jargo hasn't healed yet. It almost seemed like they had some extras there to try to get the HP back on up. But timing sometimes is of the essence. Beating other teams to a rotation is going to be important to jump back on board Khan and QK. 243 below the damage threshold. You're going to see why they're getting aggressive in this moment outside of zone. It's Listen on the other side. Even if they get the full damage from Listen, there's a chance they're still below the damage threshold here. So depending on how long this fight continues to go, how much Listen actually heals, they're still going to be in a tough spot, but at least they're trying to take it while they can. Continue to close off any exits, take control of the pieces, spotted out Listen again, and instantly going right to the top of those builds. First and second shot is going to connect for Khan, but as I said, still below the damage threshold.
Yeah, nice clean elimination there, but they definitely need more damage here. Carillion in the distance there, kind of listening to the fight go down. Meanwhile, Muzz and Sphinx have built their own additional layer straight across the fortress's edge. This is the first time we've seen an endgame position up here, and look at this. It's gonna pull right on top of them for the 50-50. It's a perfect spot to be in. 244 above, not too bad. I think they'll be probably just fine, so long as they don't do anything too rash here. This is actually a really good spot for Sphinx and Muzz to be in.
Especially rotating in early on towards their west. There is going to be the rift. It's out of zone for now, but depending on where the zone continues to pull, you can see a rift in the end game, creating some unique strategies. We go on over to Clicks and Higgs. You see them chopping their tower out just so they can do the long one. You see them attaching on over. They're going to glide their way in. Peterbot and Poyo waiting for the moment to try to get some tags out of the sky. And then they can easily just mimic that same rotation. Choice is definitely theirs because they can go ahead and do it on foot as well. But for now, it just seems like they want to make the fast and easy glide into the zone.
Yeah, definitely. But lucky for Clicks and Higgs, the way they set it up, it sends them so far up. They do end up getting out of that render distance there. Peterbot Boyo now are going to send themselves straight into the new zone. We'll see where they end up landing. The fact that they're on this same kind of warpath here means they might just end up colliding here shortly. Keep close tabs on them. Jumping in with Encrypted and HQ again. Another team we haven't quite got to see much of their journey. However, they have been very much competitive here on the standings. 138 points here is nothing to be upset about this late into the tournament here. Game 5 right now is in front of us. 98 below though, Jacob. They're hoping to find teams rotating out from outside the zone, but there's no one in sight. They are quite literally the last ones on the edge here.
And this is where the mind games start to play, because you saw the leaderboard when it pops up. They are the line in terms of top 13 going to the Major 1 Summit. They are the team currently to beat. So going down here, especially with 1 game left and a whole day tomorrow, leave you with a bunch of regrets in the back of your mind. See multiple teams rotating in. Yep, Peterbot Boyle below the damage threshold monster.
Yeah, I saw that lightning come down as soon as we were panning over. 42 below now. A couple tags get put in there, but Peterbot and Boyo have a lot to deal with right now. Pressure's on, not only for them not being as comfortable as they normally are this late into a tournament run, but also now having to deal with the surge. Already though, you saw there, Clicks Higgs to the south, other teams in between them. Great tags here putting onto the solo player in front of him. Power has to deal with that too. He doesn't get a shot off though, so it's going to be a pure positive for them. But tags coming in from top. Someone might have jumped into the box. I thought for a second there. Even Peterbot shot his own teammate, not sure of what was going on. And the surge is just a lot to deal with now. Here comes another lobby focus. But luckily, they get just enough here onto Raven and CDZ to keep them above the surge.
I know that these spot maybe die out of this up and DTS, but still.
You don't necessarily hear that someone's taking these ticks of Storm Surge Monster, but you hear the shields getting cracked when it does that much damage. I think teams all around them getting a huge signal here of what's going down. They're just trying to take part, make their jobs that much harder here in terms of survival, but they're constantly on the lookout. Peterbot Boyo connect with a few shots, yes, barely above 29. They're going to increase that just a little bit, 69 above the damage threshold. It's not a feeling of safety here, but for them, exactly that. We're going into the next zone. It's a moment of fresh air, but instantly the wind gets sucked out of their lungs here as they fall 60 below yet again.
Well, for a team like this, that's all you need, right? Just a little moment here, and they do have some heals to work with, but the clock is ticking. 30 seconds remaining. Duo's right up above them. Into the box, Boyo goes. He hits one monster's tag, gets the knock, and Peterbot's here to back him up. The zone does the rest, and just like that, 2 more elims, and they are safe for now. Big heals to be found as well. Now the Chug only has 40 in it, but that is plenty considering where they just left off from. Meanwhile, we pan over to the other side. Visual Braid still in the running. Clicks and Higgs there in the distance too. Much different story for our second and third place leaders here. 99 above for them, so things are just on pace, but the pressure is starting to slow creep here. But look at this, Clicks and Higgs might be going for another high ground positioning.
Yeah, this is actually a smart rotation by them. We saw Bucky down, rolling around at the bottom. Zen was trying to save it. Visuals and Braids were pushing up. Instead of focusing any pressure in that direction, they immediately rotate to zone. Jump on board Rapid, less than 25 HP. Luckily, he has Cold by his side, holding on to those builds, making sure they don't get pushed for free. It's actually separated right now. They're in 2 different boxes. That would have been a perfect time to strike onto Rapid, but Cold is looking through the cone, gathering information, waiting for Rapid to make the rotation on over into the same box. Meanwhile, he finds another big elim onto Magma. This is how you create moments instead of waiting for them.
That timing couldn't have been better, and Cole's got the right idea. He's thinking this guy has to get knocked somewhere close by, but unfortunately is going to be out of reach, and they could have used that little bit of loot right there. But the fact that Cold and Rapid have managed to kind of found a stable ground here, that's going to be a problem for the standings. Meanwhile, Visual and Braids is like the sleeper duo we're not talking enough about right now. They have just remained so competitive, and while all eyes are on Cold, Rapid, Clicks, Higgs, Peterbot Boyo, you have Visuals and Braids slowly working their way up the standings as well.
Yeah, they didn't even really look up at high ground. They know how many teams like to go up there. They said, you guys can have it. We're going to wait and find these perfect eliminations
Or
down
elims.
below as another one spotted out onto Wagers. No Slepsy in this game, which means that team is fully eliminated out of the game. Braids and Visuals are continuously heating up here in this game. Peterbot as well. I did see Preston go down. Luckily, we get a huge view of how Peterbot and Koi were able to pick up another elimination.
I like he captures Preston, opens the edit, and Preston tries to jump out the box immediately. Just never know. Meanwhile, Higgs and Clicks tanking Storm to get some ultimate positioning here, but Clicks gets collapsed on by Dozier and Eshu, and just like that, he is slightly out of position, but so is Acorn too. Higgs tries to break the bills there. It's Bolts who goes up for a cheeky little high ground play there, and it's all up to Higgs now to try to play this out for positioning here. This is gonna be close, but hey, he's got this mountain, which is all natural elevated here to work with. Dozier, Ishu know that they've taken one out from the top. Up they go. Peterbot and Boyo bounce their way back into the game now. 5 eliminations for this team, and finally now big placement points are being earned here.
Yeah, if you didn't watch the last couple of minutes, you would almost not even know Peterbot and Boyle were such in a drastic situation, forced to literally fight their way out. Cold and Rapid as well. They finally reunite into the same box, but they're getting pressured on the other side. Rapid's trying to hold on for dear life. Cold is there. They're just trading shots back and forth, but Rapid is taking most of that brute force. Luckily for him, Cold is there, just trying to push that team further and further out towards the zone. There's really no time for Rapid to heal. He has to make this rotation with barely a sliver of HP before him and Cold once again reunite on the front side of the zone.
Cold is just playing so well. He is taking like no damage while all this is happening. Meanwhile, Peterbot and Boya, if you blink, you missed it. They went up for high ground. They contest the team. They take down Dozier and Eshu. Eshu's already knocked here. Peterbot now shockwaves down to connect with his teammate, and they are on high ground looking to make up for lost time. 7 eliminations and going. Meanwhile, Cold continuing to find elims as well. It's all a runaway train though if you are Rapid and Cold here.
Oh, but Ritual Agers, they made a play for high ground and they get the knock onto Peterbot. Nobody is now solidified as that team up above. Cold is even trying to retake it. Rapid shockwave up.
God.
One team's loss is another team's gain, but they get chopped yet again. Agers and Ritual, the persistence is there. They're ready to fight for it all. That fight for that first place spot on the leaderboard, doesn't matter who's in their path. They're ready to bulldoze their way out of the lobby.
It's only a matter of time before someone else gets a victory royale, but then you have Visual and Braids here at 8 eliminations. Again, the team that no one is talking about is running things on the mid ground. Make it 9, make it possibly even 10 here in the coming moments. Meanwhile, Cold is on the ultimate low ground, no mass, nothing to work with, and he is just earning placement points. The one thing that's holding him back from really breaking away here, and now he's inside the top 6, and another elim is all his.
Yeah, the zone passes over Cold, allows him to cut back onto Carillion. Now he has another player in his line of sight, which is Madden, but there's still duos in his path as well. Visuals and Braids. These are all heavy hitters that are looking to end the run of first place here, but he gets 5th overall. Cold and Rapid continue the hot streak, but there's only 2 duos left alive. Visuals and Braids, winners of game 1. Agers and Ritual inside of the top 3. They get that first knock onto Visuals. Braids falls shortly after. Agers and Ritual take the game.
In a great fashion there too, but Visuals and Braids now a 2nd place. They already won a game here today. What more can you ask of these teams? It is a who's who in the end game here for game number 5 there, Zeke.
FTF, the chaos. It's too much. I cannot believe it. There is just so much packed into these games, man. There's just people overdriving in the air, fighting each other, contesting height, fighting on the front side of the zone, bottom of the zone, mid zone. It doesn't matter. There's chaos everywhere. But in this moment, Agers and Ritual have found themselves a victory royale in game number 5, and in the process took down the Titan that is Peterbot. Kelly, I feel like if that doesn't give me a boost of confidence, I don't know what will.
Yeah, I need to apologize. I was kind of questioning how Agers and Ritual were in 5th place with a 21st and a 17th. I'm sorry. I'd like to apologize. Clearly, your placements are not an issue because you're walking away with a victory royale in game number 5. And you're talking about the chaos, Zeke. You're talking about how we weren't able to really follow along. Well, they were kind of able to just forego all of the chaos, Vivid. Agers and Ritual just kind of allowed themselves to sit in the mid ground, saw all the chaos happening on the high ground, and then waited for everyone to kind of get that out of their system before they went for height and then able to hold it.
Yeah, patience being key here for the duo. Yeah, all that chaos, I like couldn't even keep up what was happening. We had solo clutches going on. Low ground was fighting for this. High ground was fighting for that. And yeah, at the end of it all, Aegis and Ritual somehow not only impressively like got the win, but got it as a duo. Sometimes when those games get so chaotic, it's really, really hard to stay healthy as a duo. But from the high ground, it was easy for them to do, and they got that game win. And I can only imagine what the leaderboard is going to look like.
Oh man, one game left to go, Viv. When we return after this short break, we'll start taking a look at that leaderboard. We'll start setting things up because remember, we have 6 games today, and then after the 6 tomorrow, we are crowning champions. Fortnite fam, we're gonna take a step away. When we return, we prepare ourselves for the last game of the day. See you in a bit.